trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Don't forget I got memories, dead stain the whole room if I let him bleed. Shit was dark, I let this little light him out.
Time to talk some real shit, right? Oh man. Oh man. Y'all know what time it is, man. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. We are recapping an L. We're recapping an L, man. Saints come into Landover, FedEx Field. Beat the Washington football team 33-22. Let's go ahead and get through the stats and all that information before we go ahead and talk some actual ball. For the New Orleans Saints, Jameis Winston goes 15 of 30, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked only twice. Alvin Kamara, 16 carries, 71 yards. The team rushes for a total of 23 carries for 98 yards, 1 touchdown. Offensively for the Washington football team, Taylor Heinicke, 20 of 41, 248 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Antonio Gibson, 20 carries, 60 yards. The team rushed for a total of 33 carries, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. Heinicke had 5 carries for 40 yards on the ground. Those are the overviews. We know a couple people went down with injuries, mainly Sam Cosmi and, well, not mainly, I'm sorry. Sam Cosmi went down with an ankle injury, and Curtis Samuel re-injured a groin, AJ. So the story behind Curtis Samuel is a weird one. You even asked about it, like what the hell was going on. I don't think I've seen him since the first quarter. So he has some things going on. We know that much. So I'm gonna read some thoughts from everybody in the chat. Hey Briggs, please talk to me. Please tell me he covered. You know I had the -2.5 for Green Bay. Let's go ahead and get through some thoughts right quick for people in the chat. So Homer mentioned, yes, Kofi, straight let down. Alex, what's going on, bro? Homer mentioned he put this game up there with one of where Rex Grossman threw. Oh wow, he put it up there with Rex Grossman threw for 4 picks in the first half. Heinicke is not it. Defensive secondary is trash. Our run D is still solid. That's about it. It's crazy how you think about the run defense being solid, Homer. I ain't gonna lie to you. They have the Chiefs next week, and he feels like it's not gonna look good for the Washington football team. Grizz, what's going on, Jared? Jared mentioned that, it's just a disappointment. The game was winnable. Absolutely. And we got beat by Crab Leg, man. Yes, a lot of things. All right, AJ, man, you're here. We're gonna check on Dre, man. He may be going through it with this. He may be going through it with this team, but like I said, win, lose, or draw, we are still here. One more thing, AJ, before I get to you, Wellian, fire Rivera. I don't care what the reason is for. Why are they the worst defense? But if you can't make it work, then get out. All right. Those are the thoughts from everybody that's in the chat right now. Again, we will have call-ins, but we got to get some things off our chest right quick, man. Before we take the calls and let everybody get off their chest, man. It is one of those days. Washington falls to 2-3. AJ, it's your go, my man. Overall thoughts on the game, and what does this loss signify for you on your end?
I'll start with one. It looks like another bust wide receiver acquisition. With Curtis Samuel keep having these groin issues, you might as well just sit with the rest of the year. Let him go ahead and get surgery. But that's another one of Ron Rivera's smart decisions, Now you don't have any wide receivers to come in and help, create more opportunities for Terry, and defense is not focusing on him. 2, I think the defense played good enough to win this game.
Yes.
Minus the busted coverage, but I think that's more so scheme related. I don't know who all follows me or whatever, but I know probably in our chat, I'm talking about like, why aren't they playing more press man? I thought the whole idea of going to get William Jackson, who's a press man corner, drafting a guy like Ben St. Juice, adding Witt, Fuller, and you have that front four, was to play more press man. For some reason, they're staying in zone way too much, and some of these guys is not what they're acclimated with. And when you have poor linebacker play and those linebackers don't stay in their responsibility, you're going to have open parts of the field. You're going to have a lot of miscommunication. And then you're asking Landon Collins, a box safety, to play deep halves like he's Ed Reed or some shit. Like no matter if that man had got all the way back there, he was still gonna get his ass whipped for 6 because Deontay Harris is that fast.
So let's talk about that though, because we did disagree. We did disagree on that part. Like the overall thing is that we both agreed in the sense that there should be no reason Landon Collins should be back there in the first place playing that free role in this instance. I just feel like for a situation like that, you got to understand why he is a box safety, not you in a literal sense, but you got to understand like why he knows the box safety role well. I feel like all safeties still have an idea how to play free and strong, and for him to be that close and not understanding who is on his left, on his defensive left, that's a mistake on his end to not even be deep in the first place. You got to respect his speed. And I don't think if you're playing that far deep, not that far deep. If you're playing deep enough at the snap of the ball, I feel like you won't even put yourself in that position to be trailing or even getting burnt. And that's kind of where we saw it differently, but we agreed on the sense that he should have never been put in that position to play that free role.
Well, I think either way, even if he plays if he plays it exactly how they wanted it to be, it's still a 6. It's still 6 on the board because Harris is way too fast for that man to have any type of effect on the play. Jameis's best ball is a deep ball.
Yeah, it is. I said
that on Tuesday that they were gonna go deep to Harris, and that's exactly what happened. At the end of the day, it's just more so knowing what your players do best and putting them in the position to do what they do best. And that's what's going on with Jack Del Rio's scheme. He's not doing that. Even today, like I text you privately, like, yo, what was Jamin Davis' snap count? Because I thought the matchup would be him against Alvin Kamara a little bit more. And I think I've probably seen Jamin Davis on the field maybe like 4 times. Like, I think I've seen him 4 times. And you've seen what started happening the second half. They started going after Cole Holcomb with the tight ends, the running back. Whatever, that wheel route that they hit to Alvin Kamara should have been touchdown.
Yeah, it should have.
It's just different plays. But at the end of the day, I think the defense still played good enough to win this game. It's y'all motherfucking boy, Taylor Heinicke. Like, that dude sucks. I've been saying this from day one. Like, there's a reason why he went undrafted. His arm is not good enough. He doesn't make smart decisions. I don't care what his coach from ODU said earlier in the week.
Yeah, I didn't pay no mind to that at all.
That's college, bro. Like,
that's what they supposed to do.
Yeah, in the NFL, you don't have that much time to do that. Like in college, you can't do that. In the NFL, he's definitely not going through reads. Balls are high, balls are behind. Like, it's just poor quarterback play. And honestly, I feel like if Washington had a better backup situation, he would have got benched in today's game because it was a piss poor effort. He literally left points on the field. Like, Washington should have won this game with the turnovers that were created, all of those options that they had to make touchdowns instead of having to go for field goals. It didn't happen. It was just bad play. And then he threw that ball to Curtis Samuel, which he re-injured his groin on. You know, like, what were you even seeing there? Like, I don't know what he was seeing on any of these passes that he was doing, honestly. And I feel like Scott Turner didn't call a great enough game for me, in my opinion. I felt like Terry McLaurin could have got involved much more.
I was about to ask you in what way, because I think there was, as we both know, there was plenty of opportunities from this offense. And I think we have a general understanding that I think it's safe to say everybody that's in the chat, yes or no, you all can agree with me or not. This was easily probably Taylor Heinicke's worst game, and I think that's kind of where the impact comes in, AJ, when we kind of have a belief that Scott could have done more, but I think that a lot of opportunities were missed due to just simply poor quarterback play.
Yeah, I mean, poor quarterback play, but also J.D. McKissick was not featured in this game either.
Yes. One carry.
He was definitely
excuse me.
He was a missing man.
2 carries, -1 yards, 1 reception, 4 targets. eight reception yards. And all 4 of those targets from the top of my head, not looking back at the game or trying to like revisit the game right now, but off the top of my head, a lot of those were just out of reach. And that was unfortunate. Four targets and he only has 1 catch.
Yeah. So I mean, just overall, man, I think the media, hopefully that's what they're doing during this press conference that's happening right now, is asking Ron Rivera those hard questions. Because another thing, if you're gonna stick with Dustin Hopkins, you probably should have went for that field goal, the 54-yard field goal. You know, if you feel comfortable to rock with him for the rest of the year, then you should be able to rock with him in times when you could have used those 3 points instead of going for that 4th down. So, I mean, it's just an overall game that Washington lost, in my opinion. Like, it came down to poor coaching, lack of effort, putting guys in the right position, and piss poor quarterback play.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready for the call-ins. I'll get my thoughts off. But before I get my thoughts off, I'm going to read off a couple of quotes right now from Ron Rivera, as far as we know it, at 4:34 p.m. These are because I can't actually read or look at the presser right now. I'm looking at tweets and quotes. JP Finley mentioned that Ron Rivera had a couple quotes recently saying that he's very frustrated because we have players that are better than what they are playing right now. The second thing that he mentioned in a quote was he still feel good about the guys in the room. I'm not going to quit on them. So one thing, just looking at the response, I would love to hear the tone in which Ron Rivera is responding, AJ, but I think for you to be in this moment in which you're even having to answer the question of how do you feel about these guys in the locker room, it kind of shows you to the level of degree at which they underperformed. Ladies and gentlemen that's in the chat, I think we understand, like, at least the way that he's responding or the way that he's talking post game is, and just in general, like how he responds from a week to week basis and having to defend guys. Eventually you run out of answers, AJ. And as frustrated as he can be from a coaching standpoint, you got to understand that if you're going to keep defending these guys from a week in and week out basis and saying that these guys can play better and they're not playing better, then maybe you should kind of change or adjust your adjust your outlook on the type of talent that you have here. A lot of people don't understand, or maybe a lot of people haven't realized, and I tell people week to week, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'll continue to say it because it's week 5, so I'll keep saying it. Trust your eyes. The miscommunications on the defensive side of the football has shown itself again this week, although what AJ said is 110% correct. We played enough to win well on the defense. We played well enough to win on the defensive side of the football. Even with the miscommunications, even with the gaps, the killer for this defense were two moments. It was the Hail Mary to end the game, to end the first half. But then secondly, you come within 5 points of trying to come back into this game or get back into this game. And the very next drive in which you scored that touchdown for offense, an offense that was struggling. Taylor Heinicke was, as we said, he was missing everything, but he did what he had to do to get him back within scoring or winning, being able to win the game. And the defense just gives up one of the easiest drives of the day. And it goes for a touchdown. The offense that was struggling to drive the football down the field all day, they drive and score a touchdown to close this game out. With that being said, my overall thoughts, AJ, and I'll be quick with mine, is just the fact that these missed opportunities against the Saints in general, against the Saints specifically, is just the fact that it's a culmination of Taylor Heinicke on the offensive side, just not understanding that these are moments. What's the best way to put it? I'll just say, yeah, these are moments in where you really just can't fuck up. This is a defense that's disciplined. This is a defense that's sound. They play together. They are tight. Like every single time that you saw them in their own territory, what did they do, AJ? They strapped up on third down or they made a big play in the backfield. Whether it was a sack or a TFL, something like that, they stepped up. And that's just the general consensus of a good defense, bro. Taylor Heinicke had to know what he was going up against. He had opportunities in which receivers were running free, and missed opportunities led to field goals versus touchdowns. And then obviously holdings kind of held these guys back on multiple occasions. I mean, I don't even remember any drop passes for real like that. But defensive side of the ball, as we know, the coverage breakdowns, you already talked about it, AJ. The coverage breakdowns and scheme fits, putting guys in position to win, it just wasn't that good. But I do want to give some credit, AJ, to Chase Young in this game. Chase Young stepped up in the sense of he was creating the noticeable pressure and then also making an impact on the game, something that a lot of people was looking for. He had a lot of pressure on his back, man, and he had a really good game in that sense to kind of get the monkey off his back. And he's hopefully that does well for him moving forward. I think I'm good for my general thoughts. And then I guess if anything, if you have anything to say about what Rivera mentioned post game, otherwise we can transition to some call-ins, get some thoughts from the people that's viewing the show right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ron has to start looking at himself and his coaching style. You know,
Yes.
At the end of the day, you have to start making adjustments and realizing whatever you're trying to force upon these guys is not working. Whether it be the scheme or whatever, you have no excuse. You know, with Jack Del Rio being your D coordinator, you having a defensive background, you have to figure this shit out. Like, either way, every week you can't keep having busted coverages. Like, you can't keep playing zone. And I mean, you play the Saints team that has no wide receivers. Why couldn't you sit there and press man them all game? You literally could have done that all game. That's pretty much what the Saints were doing. They weren't running too much zone. They ran some zone every now and then.
Better win.
But we just gonna lock your shit up, and we're gonna let our front four handle the rest. But at some point, you know, you just got to get back to basics and stop trying to be cute with shit. And it's frustrating. And then you have him come in the presser. I don't know. This is starting to feel reminiscent of his final years in Carolina. Like I said, like that's exactly what it's looking like. He's about to start losing his team because they haven't improved the quarterback position at all. I mean, yeah, we might hear publicly like some people like, yeah, we think Taylor Heinicke is like, I don't know, Jeff Garcia, Russell Wilson, blah, blah, blah. Truth is, he's none of them motherfuckers, and he's not good. And if you keep losing games where you're putting out effort and you having opportunities to win games and you're losing because of these mistakes, and I mean, these mistakes have been going on all season. It's just that the opposing team has been dropping these interceptions. They haven't been closing in on these. But like last week, you did the same bullshit where you threw that ball up to Terry McLaurin. Luckily, Terry came back to the ball and made that catch for a touchdown. But that should have been a pick. That was a punt, essentially, with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Like today, all those things are catching up to him. You could obviously see he has a lack of arm strength. He's throwing in the double coverage, triple coverage. He's locking in on one guy. Like, it's just piss poor play. Like, he's not reading the field. Like, it's pre-snap determination. He's going directly there. When you have guys in the flats wide open, you have guys on the curl in the end zone. Like, you're not really playing the position. You're just getting away with it because the team literally doesn't have any other options when they should be bringing in other options. And then on top of that, you're able to move with your legs. But like I said Tuesday, once again, most of the quarterbacks in the NFL these days can move with their legs. Even Tom Brady was running today. You know, like at the end of the day, guys are able to move. Like people would say that Jameis Winston isn't a mobile quarterback, but he can move well enough to get out of the pocket. And you've seen that today against Washington. So it's like this fan base has been putting a lot of hope in the Taylor Heinicke, and hopefully after today they start to come to their senses. Like what I've been saying, not to toot my own horn, but this guy just isn't it. Like there's a reason for certain things that, you know, why he didn't get drafted. He has a weak arm, things of that nature. But you know, we'll see what the callers say today, because I think that Taylor Heinicke fan base is starting to dwindle down.
Man. All right, everybody. So look, here's the number. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the chat right now. 443-242-4479. 443-242-4479. We're gonna let everybody who wants to and feels like getting things off their chest and do just that. Whatever topic it may be related to the Washington football team, we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're going to go take an ad break and be right back to take the calls. If there is any, hopefully there are, man. We want to talk to y'all. So we'll be back in a couple of seconds. Or you got a point. We are back. You're not the only person in the chat. I mean, person who's in this stream or show right now that's thinking like that, AJ. So I'm gonna catch up with some comments. Again, the number is in the chat. I'll do it one more time too. We can go ahead and take these call-ins. 443-242-4479. I'll catch up on some of the comments right now. So there's comments about Rivera firing Jack Del Rio. It's kind of funny because I when we were taking our break, Jack Del Rio was trending on Twitter, so we can obviously imagine what that's all about. Oh, this is funny. AJ, they said it looked like you was in a witness protection program when you were talking, bro. It's no light. It's no light on your end. Landon is cheeks.
There's no light.
Yeah, they were saying it was dark. It was dark. That's all. So Highlight mentioned that, on the Hail Mary play, we only rushed 3 and still gave up the touchdown. 8 in coverage. That's just completely unacceptable. And speaking of halftime, it's situations. AJ, let's talk about one thing that kind of, you mentioned how things transpired during Ron's tenure in Carolina. One thing that kind of threw me off, man. Where is it in my notes? There's 2 things that threw me off. First thing we're going to talk about is the clock management. Under 3 minutes to go in the first half of the game, AJ. It's 13-13. And you're telling me after you make a huge play in the backfield for the New Orleans Saints, you're not going to call any timeouts at all to try and stop the clock and get the ball back? You're going to let the clock go all the way down to the 2-minute warning? And not only that, you accept the penalty or decline the penalty and still continue to allow the clock to run down. Even with the Saints not having, and guess how it paid off for them? This is crazy how things turn out, everybody. You're telling me that Sean Payton, because you never know what can happen, Sean Payton gets a punt that ends up going to the 1-yard line, and he's calling timeouts he has, I think, 2 timeouts left, and all Washington can do is run the clock out. They end up punting it back to New Orleans. And what do when they get the ball back, AJ? They fucking hit a Hail Mary.
They scored that Hail Mary with 19 seconds. They had 19, Washington punted with 19 seconds on the clock. By the time they got the ball, it was probably like 10 or 11 seconds.
Yes, 10 or 11 seconds. So for Ron Rivera to sit here and look at the clock with 3 minutes left in the first half, and you let the clock milk down all the way to 2 minutes, and you're telling me I've never seen, and this is not the first time this happened, but you're letting situations like this cost your team an opportunity to score points in a tie ball game. You're just content with going into half. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And it's kind of catching up with him. Some things, I shouldn't even say it's catching up with him. It's always been here. It's been here since last year. But when you're trying to get used to new coaching styles, especially with a new coach who's clearly in the second year with Washington, some of those little things don't really bother you early on. But when they continue to pile up and things like that, that's when you kind of start to pay attention to the flaws. And when AJ talks about the issues that he has with Ron Rivera, and we talk about the issues that we have with Ron Rivera, the loyalty things and all that type of stuff, that's what kind of gets him in trouble, everybody. So there was one more quote, and I'll give it to you for comments, AJ. One more quote. He mentioned, Ron Rivera did, this is from John Com. He said that they have to make sure that they're putting players. This is going to piss you off. He said, Rivera said they have to make sure that they're putting players in position to succeed on defense, something he'll be watching for when checking out the film. That's the latest quote that I can get from one of the reporters that I follow. So clearly, I'm going to just get the floor to you for your thoughts.
What the fuck are you watching? Like, what film are you watching? And then prior to that, the quote that you did read aloud, I'm going to just re-emphasize it. I'm very frustrated because we got too many good players to not be better than what we are now. But your record tells you what you are. That's what we are. We are a 2-3 football team right now. Nigga, you're the head coach, bro. You're the person that's supposed to put all this shit together. You're supposed to put people in the places to win and play to their strengths. It's on you. You feel me? Like, if you know you got good players, that means it should speak volumes about you as a coach. And that's where I get back to, like, this reminds me of Carolina. Like, it's the same shit. At some point in time, when you start losing games and you don't look good out there, you're getting embarrassed. You have to, you're gonna just naturally, as a human being, you're gonna push away from whatever leadership you think that it might be. You're losing games, you feel me? Like, and you're getting embarrassed, and you're supposed to be a top-notch, like, defensive mind alongside with the coaching staff that you have. Like, it's on you. And shit, I mean, I might just be speaking out of pocket because I just watched that game, but man, it might be time to move on from Ron Rivera after this year.
Man.
Like,
that's impulse. I get the frustration. It's impulse.
Because at the end of the day, it's all the things that have led up, like, to week 5. Like, this season, last season, with the player movement, the player acquisition, the lack of acquisition at quarterback, all of those things. Do you really want this motherfucker going into next year picking your starting quarterback, whether that be in free agency or the draft? Because now you're just adding more time to his tenureship. But it's like, I don't know, like, me as a fan, I'm like, hey, fuck all that. Okay, we're organized organization. It means nothing when you're taking L's. Like, it means nothing when you're getting embarrassed on national TV or just weekly with your fan base. Like, it's not a good look. So, I mean, we'll see how I finish up. But I mean, the rest of the schedule, if I'm not mistaken, I'll look at it right now. They play the Chiefs next week. That's an L. They play the Packers the week after. That's an L. Broncos is a toss-up. They play the Buccaneers. That's an L. So it's like, bro, you about to be on a loser streak, because at the end of the day, if you can't play zone correctly how you want to play it, and all these things, you're going against top-notch offensive minds with Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid, Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich in the next couple weeks. That shit is gonna get real ugly.
Yeah, it is, man. One more thing specifically about this game that we need to talk about. All under the umbrella of missed opportunities, everybody, is 1 of 4 in the red zone. The Washington football team, for a variety of reasons, literally this week, it was roughing the passer, or excuse me, roughing the kicker opportunities that extended drives for him. It was pass interferences that helped them get down the field. Whatever option or reason it may be, they found themselves in the red zone 4 times. And a team who was, to be honest with you, one of the best offensive teams, I'm about to look right now, in the red zone at the very least. They were 6th, 72% in the red zone, 6th in the NFL. They were 25% this week. And then the killer for the offense is just understanding that those missed opportunities led to field goals, and then New Orleans, with the 2 opportunities that they did end up having, ended up going 2 for 2 in the red zone. It's as we talk about a week-to-week basis on a team improving. Obviously, field goals, we all know this is terrible, but just in the sense of understanding how things can kind of get corrected, it'll be interesting to know what Taylor specifically was thinking in some instances. Clearly a couple of overthrows, and there was some misreads. I think on the second field goal attempt in the red zone, there was Adam Humphries on a curl route who was literally wide open, and Taylor ended up forcing the throw. Like, he never looked to his right on this one, his offensive right, and he ended up forcing the throw, I believe, to Ricky Seals-Jones. I believe that kind of ended up causing Washington to miss out on 7. Like, it was kind of criminal of how wide open he was. I don't know. I mean, you can clearly overcome things like this in terms of just being better and executing better. But to your point, AJ, a quarterback who kind of has his mind made up pre-snap goes sometimes works in his favor, but most times can be dictated to. Like, the Saints could have very easily gave him that look that this one person was going to be open based on his pre-snap reads, but they eventually at the snap ended up covering him and took that one read away that he was also looking forward to throwing against. I don't know if there's going to be a correction for certain instances where he's staring down his guys, and in the red zone, it helps sometimes, but it also hurts if you aren't necessarily giving other guys opportunities. Hey, I'm about to say, I guess you said enough, huh? Okay.
I agree with you. But I think there's things that they can do to help. Maybe give him some read options. Like, I'm not seeing no read options out of him. Like, I don't know. Simplify the game. Go back to basics. Like, if whatever you're doing isn't working, you got to change it up. You can't keep force feeding the same thing. Like, that's my main thing with both sides of the ball.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently, Jamie mentioned that in Ron's defense, they did try to get a franchise quarterback, and I'm assuming that you're talking, Jamie, about Matt Stafford in the offseason. So I mean, he did try, like he tried to get Amari last season. He tried.
They ain't try hard enough.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
If that shit ain't go through, you ain't try hard enough. Like, you ain't try hard enough, and now you're back to square one right again. Like, who's gonna want to come in here when you're losing like this? You know, you look dysfunctional. You know, are you going to be able to attract the likes of Aaron Rodgers, possibly a Russell Wilson? Let's say if Seattle ends up losing a bunch of games, now they might be in rebuild mode. Like, and they'll probably be willing now next year to move on from Russell Wilson. Like, you can't allow him to draft a quarterback first round next year. You can't allow that to happen. So it's just like, if the team keeps losing and looking this bad, what's really attractive about coming to Washington for a franchise quarterback?
And we're gonna talk about that right quick, because I like that topic before we get up out of here. But Zacy mentioned that Payne post game quote essentially called out the secondary. And I looked it up after you said that, Zace, and I did find something from Standick in which he mentioned, this is the quote from Deron Payne: "We got to stop giving people gifts. People need to stick to the assignments that they're given." I guess it's all about perceptions, AC, because, you know, he could be talking about his defensive line too. Like, the defensive line got gashed in moments. So you never know. You never know what he's talking about in that spot. But here's the thing that kind of threw me for a loop. So Taylor Heinicke had an interview. I don't know if this was a presser or if he actually spoke with Ben one-on-one. But in a presser, I would assume he said on his day, he thought it was good other than the 2 picks. Now I'm not going to kill him because we did all that already. But
let me kill him. He was out there drinking Heineken because he has to be drunk to think that he played fairly good today. Like, he has to be drunk. And maybe they should sponsor him because he was definitely drinking beer on the sideline or some shit if he thought he played good today.
Well, look,
if that was good, what does great look like?
Yeah, if there's one thing for sure, the sponsorships or serious talks of the sponsorships have probably disappeared for the moment. I don't think he's having any talks with any sponsors right now until he gets his shit together. All right, so the conversation about the quarterback, and this will be the last thing that we kind of clean up on for this recap episode. Because we can't talk about the defense, but so many times, everybody. This is just a side of the ball that won't get any better. The offense is essentially carrying the team in the sense that they have to put up points, and the fact that they performed the way they did today against a good defense. We're not going to sit here and say that they aren't a good defense or that they should have done more. They should have done a ton more. Obviously, missed opportunities hurt them, but at the same time, we are going against a good defense. They're going to force you into mistakes, and it kind of worked out well for them in some instances. But anyway, to the quarterback thing, there is going to be a hard time convincing, like you said, and I just want to reiterate it. There's going to be a hard time convincing some of these better quarterbacks in the offseason, and you may not even have the firepower in the offseason for if there's a trade that can be done. You may not even have the firepower. So when you're talking about free agents and them having decisions, when the defense performs the way they do after what appeared to be the second ranked defense in the NFL in 2020, you're not doing a good job marketing yourself in terms of being a great place to land for a quarterback, because all they need is a quarterback. The longer the season goes, where there's no improvements, there's no building blocks on either side of the ball where somebody can say, I can win a championship here, you continue to draw yourself out of the runnings for those top tier quarterbacks. You mentioned Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers, we all know, is gone after this year. You put yourself out of the running, everybody. And fingers crossed things can change, because by God, we need a quarterback, AJ. But you're looking at the draft route, the way things are going, and with this schedule, the next 3 games at the least, these next 3 games, we know you're staring down the barrel of you're staring down the barrel of a 2-5 season. All right. Let's go ahead and get up out of here with a couple things, man. The storyline over the next few games after the 33-22 loss for the New Orleans Saints. What'll be the storyline? AJ, let me know what that would be for you.
Man, the storyline, shit, it's about to get ugly, right? Because you playing Patrick Mahomes next week, Tyreek Hill, McCole Hartman, Travis Kelce. Hey, man, if you got them on your fantasy teams, go ahead and start all of them. Start the 4th receiver on Kansas City Chiefs. Like, go ahead, start everybody. Start Josh Gordon. Start Edwards Helaire, backup running back.
I'm about to say, who the backup running back?
That shit gonna be a blowout.
Oh man. So for me, you said we have potential to lose. Oh, you did say it. I'm reading it wrong. You said we could lose our next 9. Absolutely right. I misread you. You did say it. I 100% back you on that one. You definitely said it. So for me, the storyline is going to be simple, man. As great of a story Taylor Heinicke was, and is to this point, you got to give him credit for his story, AJ. Regardless of the skill set, his story is still there. Regardless of what his story is really good. The reality has set in, or should have set in, that a limited quarterback can only get you but so far. And sometimes backups are backups. I think that'll be the storyline moving forward. The book is not written on Taylor, but you kind of see when you talk about limitations, a lot of people love to be nice about what limitations stand for when it comes to quarterbacks, but some are true hindrances. And for Taylor, unfortunately, there's just some things missing. That kind of comes to light when you play better defenses, man coverage defenses, especially. You're gonna need that arm strength to kind of get it against these defenders, man. And when you get challenged in certain degrees, in certain instances, if you can't put some zip on it, you're looking at picks, you're looking at tips. So for me, that's gonna be the storyline. It's gonna be revolving about Taylor Heinicke. All right. So where are we at? We have 45 minutes. All right. I think that's enough, man. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you actually the floor, AJ, if you have any more closing thoughts on the game, and then anything moving forward with this week. What do you want to, if you want to see anything or hear anything from Coach Rivera or anything from the coaching staff, anything, the floor is yours if you have any closing thoughts.
I want to see Ron Rivera resign. Nah, I mean, I don't have much to say, bro. They play Kansas City Chiefs next week. Ain't really much to say, and nothing to look forward to. It's just about to get even worse next week. So, hey.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it is what it is. Oh, I guess I will touch on Jamin Davis.
He had 2 tackles, by the way. I looked it up when you were talking. So he only finished the game with 2 tackles.
Well, we know how many snaps he played?
Not yet. We'll probably find that out tomorrow. In terms of snap counts, they're not available immediately, but he 2 tackles, and that's about it for right now. 2 solo tackles at that too.
Hey man, take that boy 19th overall, and you got David Mayo playing over him. Something is not right. I don't give a fuck how much Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera used to play linebacker back in the day. That don't mean shit. It don't mean nothing. Like, at the end of the day, you can't make those type of mistakes. 19th overall pick, you could have picked somebody else that could have brought value to the team, some more weapons on the outside, something. You could have took Kadarius Toney. I don't know. You could have took somebody else with
An
that
immediate
19th overall
contributor.
pick that could be an immediate contributor. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of things that people can touch on with Ron Rivera's tenureship already with Washington. I'm not a journalist or anything of that nature, but I'm pretty sure it's coming real soon because the beat writers, the beat reporters, the radio personalities, they know that this shit is about to get real ugly. They know that because they know the next two games is Packers and Kansas City. So those are immediate L's in my book. And I just think it's going to get worse. And Ron is not doing himself no favors with these type of press conferences either. Like, because at the end of the day, it's your shit. You know, you're controlling the shit. Like, you are the head coach, bro. Like, you shouldn't need week 5 to look at film and adjust. Like, you've been seeing it in practice. You've been seeing it in preseason. You've been seeing it since week 1, week 2. Like, shouldn't take you week 5 to say a comment of that nature because you're literally doing everything the same way. Nothing has changed from the beginning of the season up until what we just witnessed about an hour ago.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, the schedule for this week is back to normal. We're going to be here. Well, I'll be here Monday. AJ and Dre should be here on Tuesday, all 32 Wednesday, and then pregame preview or whatever Thursday. Also, another thing, as always, if you're watching on Twitch and you like the content, make sure you are following. YouTube, same thing. If you like the content and you just happen to come across the page, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff to stay in tune with everything that we got going on. Podcast. If you like what we're doing, make sure you're following, rate and review, help us out. Also, a new thing, man, on social media too. I came across somebody who made some good things to take note of as a person who does provide information or just provide a entertainment of sorts. If you all like the content and support us, and stuff like that, we appreciate the retweets, we appreciate the suggestions, we appreciate the recommendations and things like that. It takes 2 seconds to do and things like that. So we're going to keep it pushing. And for those who do rock with us at the same time, I did mention a giveaway that we were going to be doing 2 giveaways. AJ was good enough to get the people Madden 25, Madden 20, what is it?
22. Right. What
hey, man.
2025?
Hey, look, because I thought about Madden 25 as the that was a little anniversary joint like a while back. Yeah, so he was good enough to give away the Madden 22 copy. We'll have another giveaway sometime soon, and that'll be on my end. I'll have something for you all real soon for subscribers. This one is going to be for subscribers only, and people who have been showing support. So we're going to give back for everybody who be rocking with us, man. Plain and simple. So with that being said,
Mual.
Yep.
Hey, Mual, real quick. I just seen this comment from Landon Collins. Landon Collins. On the Hail Mary before halftime. He said, the defense was expecting the Saints to target the outside to set up a field goal. He said some players didn't jump because we wasn't prepared for that. You weren't prepared to jump to knock the fucking ball down? All right, bro. All right, let's end the show.
You weren't prepared for an Hail Mary. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be here tomorrow. AJ and Dre, catch them on the Tuesday podcast. And that is it for another episode of the Trap Die Podcast. Landon Collins wasn't ready for a Hail Mary, ladies and gentlemen. We're up out of here. Y'all be blessed. Enjoy y'all Sunday. Enjoy the rest of these games, man. Peace.
Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benches. Triple digits, nigga. Don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches.